Take a look at the smartphone in your hand, or the screen you're watching this on right now. It feels like a miracle of modern engineering, doesn't it? But if you could look past the glass and the code, deeper down into the atoms that make it work, you wouldn't just see technology. You'd see a map of the world. A history that stretches from the first stone tools to the starships of tomorrow. Every element inside your tech has a story. Lithium from South America, cobalt from the Congo, rare earth elements processed in China. These minerals are the real power players. We think history is about kings and ideologies, but for 5,000 years, the real story has been written in stone. From the ancient armies that marched for salt, to the colonial empires built on silver, to the modern trade wars over the chips in your computer, underground wealth has always concentrated power. Welcome back to Regiverse. Today, we are going to dig up that history. I'm your host, and this is Deep Earth Secrets. Let's dive into the ancient roots of how minerals built the world. Let's go back, way back, before stock markets. Let's talk about salt. To us, it's a cheap condiment. But once, it was so precious it served as actual currency. If you controlled the salt, you controlled survival. Societies that sat on salt deposits didn't just have flavor, they had leverage. They built empires. And it wasn't just food. Before we had Silicon Valleys, we had Flint Valleys. It was the cutting-edge tech of the day. But the game changed forever with copper. Mixing it with tin created bronze. And that was the birth of the military-industrial complex. If you had bronze weapons and your enemy had stone, you won, period. But there was a catch. Copper and tin are rarely found in the same place. This geological accident forced the first international trade networks. Cities like Tyre and Sidon became wealthy because they controlled the flow of these critical metals. This set a pattern. Only the societies with the capital to invest in the tech could get the minerals. It's a feedback loop. Technological advancement concentrates the power of extraction. The Romans knew this. If you could cut off an enemy supply of tin, you could cripple their military without a fight. From salt to bronze, and now to silicon, the minerals beneath our feet continue to decide who leads the future. The tools change, but the hunger grows. The European conquest of the Americas wasn't just exploration, it was a heist for gold and silver to back their currencies. Potosí in Bolivia was the largest source of silver on Earth. It bankrolled the Spanish Empire and kick-started global capitalism. But the human cost was apocalyptic. Over 8 million indigenous workers died in these mines. This established extractive colonialism, where wealth is funneled from the ground in South America to banks in Europe. This birthed the resource curse. Living on a mountain of silver makes you a target. Elites only need to control the mine and the port, inviting corruption and dictatorship. Nowhere is this darker than in the Congo. King Leopold II owned it as private property, implementing a brutal forced labor system to extract rubber for the world's new tires. Leopold's system cost up to 10 million lives. The wealth went to Belgium. The trauma stayed. This is the foundation of the modern geopolitical map. In the 19th century, the menu changed. The Industrial Revolution demanded iron and coal. Power shifted from those with gold to those with geology. Britain's dominance wasn't magic. They had the coal to power steam engines. Germany realized they needed their own supply chains, driving the scramble for Africa. You can trace World War I tensions to mineral anxiety. Germany was terrified of being cut off from Swedish iron ore. It was essential for their war machine. German strategists knew that without Swedish iron, they lost the war. Securing these resources became a matter of life or death. Then came aluminum. To win a 20th century war, you needed airplanes. To build airplanes, you need aluminum, and that means bauxite. In World War II, the U.S. secured Caribbean bauxite, churning out planes faster than the Axis could match. Resource security had become national security. This solidified the golden rule. You cannot be a superpower if you can't dig the future out of the ground. This foundation still shapes our map today. Resource security is national security. The map of the world isn't just lines, it's the story of what we extract and who controls it. The invisible fault lines, borders, and blood. Here is a question for you. Why do the borders of African nations look like straight lines? When European powers carved up Africa at the Berlin Conference in 1885, they didn't care about ethnic groups or languages. They cared about mineral geography. They drew lines to ensure they got the copper or the gold mines. Those arbitrary lines became permanent borders. And this is why we see so much conflict today. You have mineral-rich regions cut off from their ethnic homelands and rival groups forced to compete for control of the same mines. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the tragic example. It holds some of the world's largest reserves of copper and cobalt. By all rights, it should be one of the richest nations on Earth. Instead, it is among the poorest. The resource curse is alive and well. The economy is still structured to export wealth, not create it. Foreign powers, first Belgium, then the US, now China, have intervened for decades to keep the minerals flowing, often destabilizing the government in the process. And this brings us to the device in your pocket. The DRC produces about 70% of the world's cobalt. Cobalt is critical for the rechargeable batteries in your phone and in electric vehicles. Much of this mining is done by artisanal miners, people digging by hand in dangerous conditions with zero safety gear. The wealth flows to foreign corporations and corrupt elites, while the people living on top of the fortune stay in poverty. The new Cold War and the future. We are now entering a new era. The green energy transition and the AI revolution. And guess what? They are hungry. Just like the Industrial Revolution needed coal, the Green Revolution needs critical minerals. Lithium, cobalt, rare earth elements. These are the oil of the 21st century. China has spent the last few decades securing strategic positions in these supply chains. They dominate the processing. This has Western powers panicking about technological dependency. It's the same old story. Industrial powers racing to secure resources. But now there's a twist: resource nationalism. Countries like Bolivia, Chile, and Indonesia are saying no. They don't want to just export raw rocks anymore. They want to refine them, build the batteries, and keep the wealth at home. They are trying to break the colonial cycle. But as terrestrial mines get depleted, the race is moving to places where borders don't exist. We are looking at deep-sea mining. The ocean floor is covered in polymetallic nodules, rocks packed with manganese and cobalt. But digging them up could devastate deep-sea ecosystems we barely understand. And beyond the ocean, there's space. Asteroid mining is no longer just science fiction. Governments and corporations are investing in it right now. But who owns an asteroid? If a private company drags $1 trillion of platinum into orbit, who taxes it? If we don't figure out the rules soon, space mining could just be the ultimate extension of colonial inequality, where the rich get the stars and the poor stay stuck on a depleted Earth. So, where does this leave us? From the salt caravans of antiquity to the cobalt mines of the Congo, the pattern has been brutally consistent. External actors extract wealth, local populations pay the price, and the cycle repeats. But it doesn't have to be inevitable. We are at a transition point. The demand for green energy minerals gives resource-rich nations leverage they haven't had in centuries. If we can push for transparent supply chains, fair labor standards, and real benefit sharing, we might be able to power the future without repeating the sins of the past. The energy transition is our chance to break the cycle, but it requires us to care about where our stuff comes from. Next time you pick up your phone, remember, you're holding a piece of the Earth. And the history of how it got there is heavy. If you want to dive deeper into these topics, check out the links in the description. And if you enjoyed unearthing these secrets with us, Please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden history of our world. Thank you for watching.